Hello and welcome everyone. So today in this video we will be creating a React custom hook use previous. So use with the help of use previous, what we will be able to do is we will be able to capture the previous value of any state. Like say if we take this example which I have opened right now, the initial value of my of a variable of a state variable that I am storing in React is 0, right? So the initial value is 0 and its previous value by default will be undefined. Now if I decrement the value of 0 to -1, then this now will change to -1, but my previous should show the previous value of my now. So the previous value of now will become 0, right? Because the previous value of now was 0, so we just show 0 and the updated value is -1. Similarly, if I increase it by 1, then my previous value will become -1 and my current value becomes 0. If I increase it, then my previous value will become -1 and my current value will become 0. If I increase it one more time, then my previous value will become 0 and my now will become 1, right? So this is a pretty basic example of the use previous hook that we are going to implement. So the use previous hook returns you the previous value of a state value that you are watching. So in this case, since I am watching this value, the previous value will point to the previous value of this variable's value, right? So let's code this up. I'll clear this whole thing and let's do it from scratch. So first and foremost, I'll create an app function, an app component, and here I will create a value. I'll create a state variable, val set val use state, and this will initially point to let's say 0. Now I'll return a div, and here I will say p now, which will point to now value, and previous, which will point to previous value. We'll declare a previous value here, previous val, and we will use previous hook that we will just create now, and we will watch this value. So that means whatever the previous value of this value is, we will return that here. So I'll just copy it here, I'll paste it here. Now let's create a button. So this will be increment and this will be decrement, and here on click we will say set val plus 1, and here I'll just copy this and paste it here. On click set val -1, and now let's create a use previous hook. So export function use previous, and this will take a value. This value will be number here, and now what we will do, I'll also import use state here in my component from React. And now I also need a use effect, so let's just first create a ref. Now I will be using a ref here to store the value that this hook will return. So its initial value will be undefined, and at the end I will be returning ref.current. So why I am using ref here? So refs are basically known as an escape hatches in React. So this will point to the values. This will even persist the values between re-renders of component. Like say if this component gets re-rendered, right? If this component gets re-rendered, then even then as well my ref.current value will be preserved. So like this acts as an escape hatch from your React's lifecycle methods. So even if your lifecycle methods are triggered, or even if your component gets mutated, changed, or goes any kind of operation during its life cycles, my ref dot current value will not change, and this is the perfect way, or this is the perfect tool that I can use to get the previous value of any variable. So this is the perfect tool with which I can get the previous value of any variable, since it does not matter if React since it acts as an escape hash from your regular React lifecycles methods, and like its value even persist whenever your component re-renders. So I'll just use effect here to re-render this component whenever my value changes, and here I will update my ref dot current to the updated value, and I'll use this here. I'll import this use ref and use effect, and I'll save this, and now we can see some kind of output. Now we can see that previous value is undefined and now is 0. So I'll increment it now. So my previous becomes 0, now becomes 1. I will increment it again. I can see it's working as expected. I'll decrement it now. Previous becomes 2. Now I'll decrement it again. Previous becomes 1. So we can see it is working as expected. So this was a pretty basic code. Now to go through this again, what we are basically doing is we are creating a value, a state value, and we are creating a previous value that watches over the state value that we just created. And what will happen now is initially when this hook is called, what I'm doing is I'm creating a ref. I'm using ref because it persists the value even between component re-renders. Its value does not get lost anywhere, so I can perfectly use it to achieve the previous value, to attain the previous value. So this gets called, then this gets returned, and then the use effect gets called. So my ref current value is undefined here, so my undefined gets returned, and then this gets called to update my ref dot current. So basically use effect helps us set the current value to the updated value. Like here the value is undefined. Initially the value is undefined here, and here the value becomes set to 0. Now my first undefined will get returned. This will return undefined, previous value will be undefined, and then this will run to update my ref dot current value to 0, right? So what will happen is when my call changes, this component gets re-rendered, my value changes, this hook gets called again, and when this hook gets called, my ref dot current here was value 0. My ref dot current value was 0, so this will return 0, and then this will return again, and this will update the value to its current value, which was 1 or -1, and this keeps going on. So order, like remembering order here is important. It gets returned first, and then this gets called to update my ref dot current to its previous value. So this was all for today. I'll see you in next one.